Cuts, cuts and more cuts.
Well said. Mr. Speaker.
Simon O'Connor.
Mr. Speaker, it's been interesting as we've listened across the House from the opposition that we're blaming, I think, the Chinese. We just heard at the start of Mr. Williams' speech. We've had people make accusations and impugning, if you wish, the reputations of people who sit on boards. We've had people jumping up and down about how dare we allow a business to actually build a convention centre in the city of Auckland that will bring jobs and opportunity. It's an incredible amount of negativity. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk around a different aspect today because, as many of you know, I've spent an awful lot of time in university, fortunately most of it also while working. But because of those years in university, I've become an advocate of lifelong learning, and I'm thrilled to be in Parliament, a place where so much learning is possible. From the National Party, you can learn all about good government and sensible economic management. From the Labour Party, well, you can learn how a green tail can wag a red dog. And from the Green Party itself, well, look, my stars, to use a quote, my stars, the things you can learn from the Green Party. So, Mr. Speaker, maybe we in this House, sometimes we take for granted the fascinating things that the Green Party says, given how often we hear from them. So I thought we'd just reminisce a little. So we hear from Dr. Russell Norman. He's delivered some extraordinary lectures on Harry Potter economics. From what I understand, his theory is that most economic problems can be solved with the judicious use of magic. With a wave of his wand, he can create money out of thin air. I've learned from him that quantitative easing is a way to make photocopying money seem like an economic policy. But he doesn't just make money appear. He can make money disappear as well. For example, he and David Shearer, the deputy leader of the Green Party, made $500 million disappear from the New Zealand Stock Exchange overnight, with only a few words. $500 million from ordinary Kiwi savings and the likes of KiwiSaver and National Superannuations. But it's an amazing magical feat. But you see, he's also found, Dr. Russell Norman has also found a way to make power prices disappear. His plan is to nationalise the energy sector, following in the footsteps of such great economic luminaries as Marx, Lenin and Mao. Yes, Dr. Norman never fails to delight when pulling rabbits out of his hat. But he is not the only Green Party member to have graduated from the hogwash school of witchcraft and wizardry. It sounds like Materia Toure is fairly similar, with puffs of smoke as well. You see, Professor Toure has taught all of us about enterprise and initiative with her small business program, and it's entitled, if I read the lecture correctly, Growing the Economy by Growing Marijuana. This past April, she actually said, and this is quoting, there's some real skills in growing the drug, some real entrepreneurial skills, some real horticultural skills. Mr. Speaker, I understand that in the next semester, Professor Toure will be teaching graduates of those classes advanced chemistry in a course called P-Labs, Our Path to Prosperity. Yes, children, you listening in, the Green Party believes that you too can grow up to be a drug dealer. Mr. Speaker, sometimes when I listen to the lectures the Greens put forward, I'm not entirely convinced. But learning is about being exposed to new ideas, and so I've listened. The word that comes to mind when I listen to the Greens is ideology. There are few political parties around the world as committed to their ideology as the Greens are. In the face of all the facts, despite all the evidence that says their extremism will not work in the real world, the Greens stick to their ideology. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? You have to kind of admire that sort of dogged commitment. It reminded me of sort of the lost Japanese soldiers in the 1970s who refused to accept that World War II was over. Like them, the Greens refused to surrender to logic, to reason and to progress. So I say, soldier on to the Green Party educators. Bestow your wisdom on this House. Let nothing stand in your way. And the Labour Party will be right there to support you to do whatever you tell them to do. Mr. Speaker, I can't wait to see what the Greens will teach us next.
The time for this debate has expired, so we call on Members' Order of the Day number 1.